Hey, welcome back, my amazing student. On this lecture, we're going to start creating the user model. Now, in the last lecture, I showed you the database briefly, right? I showed you the database file. Now, I didn't tell you what tool I'm using. When I click it here, you can see that it has no tables, right? So our application created this database because we hooked into this database. We hooked in this configuration, and behind the scenes, our application here, our tools are looking into this and saying, hey, listen, yeah, let's create a database. Let's just have something there, but it doesn't have any tables. So if I click it, you see that it has no tables. And by the way, guys, for those of you that don't have this extension, it's called SQLite Viewer, all right? It's going to allow you, of course, to do what I'm doing, double click it and seeing anything on that file, on that database, SQLite database, of course. Another tool that I use is the SQLite, the DB browser for SQLite. All right, you can see it here. And I'm using Visual Studio Code for those of you that are brand new, just in case, as an editor. All right, DB browser, you can find it very easily on Google by, of course, typing in DB browser for SQLite. And you can see the page here, SQLitebrowser.org. All right, download it for your system if you want. It's up to you. Anyway, let's go ahead and create the user model. And we're going to do this right outside this function here because the user model can be used by any application instances, right? So we want to keep it flexible. So let's go ahead, and this user model here is going to allow us to have tables. This is the way that our application is going to create tables inside the database. Now, I'm going to use a package here. It's called... let me see, I get it from Flask login here. This class or method here is going to be called user, actually uppercase, user mixing, just like that. All right. And we're going to pass this in here. This is going to allow us to have things like methods. This object actually is going to allow us to have methods and properties that we can use, like is authenticated, is active, get the ID of the user. Everything that has to do with the user, this will allow us to get. All right, this will be something that is going to provide to us all this really cool stuff. All right. So anyway, let's also get the let's pass in the DB model right here so we can construct this. All right, super simple. What we want from this, the first thing that we want is the ID. And let's just say DB column. And this would be an integer. And this would be the primary key. So let's do primary underscore key. And we're gonna set that to true. Simple as that, all right? Let's do the username here. And this one, as a matter of fact, this one would be a string of, and we can set it up however we want here, 120 characters, 200. So this is going to be a username. I don't think we're going to have more than 80 characters, right? All right, so let's make this unique since it's a username. So we're going to pass this unique, and we're going to make sure it's true. And we want to make sure that it's not null. So nullable, false. Let's copy this guy and paste it here and paste the other one here. Because what I want here is the email. And email, I'm going to make it a little longer. 120 is fine. And it's going to have the unique to true and nullable to false, the same thing. Here, this would be the password. And let's call it password hash, really. We're going to deal with that later. And this one can be very long. So I'm going to do 255 characters. Unique doesn't matter here. And yeah. Let's review this. Yeah, this should be fine. One thing that I want here is I want this function right under this class that is going to allow us to display some of this stuff really good, like in the output when I'm debugging. So this rep PR underscore, and we're going to pass self here. And we can say return. We'll do f string here, and we'll say user self username. That's why we're passing self here. So we can do that. Self, yeah, name. There we go. Perfect. Let's close it. All right. So instead of getting like, if I try printing out the user, right? If I try printing something out from the model, like, you know, anything, let's say if I do print user, I'm going to get the location of that in memory, right? In my console. Now, what I want is actually the value. I want something useful. So I'm going to get something like this. Let's say the user, and let's say his name is TPM or something, right? The Python mentor. So I'm going to get something like that on the console. It's very useful for debugging. All right. Anyway, yeah, this should be good. If we go to the database, you can see there is nothing there. Now, if I run my application when it's actually running, when it doesn't have any errors, then we were able to see that somewhere. User missing, of course, misspell that because that's how I do. Let's go here. Yeah. You would think that this would have a G or something, right? It looks weird like that. Anyway, let's go and turn this on again. Alrighty, refresh, and everything is okay. Health check is good. Let's go into the application itself, and let's see in this file here. Now let's double click it. And okay, one thing that I forgot here is we need to have another function. So let's go and create that function. I almost forgot. Let's go into, let me see where I can put this. The models right here. We're going to do this right inside our application. And I'm going to put it right here with app underscore contents. Okay. This function here is going to allow us to create all those tables automatically, just like that. They create all. All right. And remember to do it inside the create app. All right. Not outside. So this is how we're keeping this thing flexible, right? We're going to create those tables for this application. All right, save your file, come back here and run your application again, come back out, and let me check, double click this, and you can see now that the user table has been created. All right, we got the ID, the username, the email, and the password. Super, super cool. All right. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for watching this. Hopefully you guys are keeping consistent. Just keep being consistent every single day, even if it's just one lecture. All right, get into the habit of always doing something every single day, so that way this becomes automatic and you guys become masters in no time. If you keep doing this, you will become a master. I'll see you guys on the next following lectures.